Hello everyone, this is H to the Husky here. I'm going to be casting a 1 versus 1 between the blue Zerg player Liquid Rhett spawning down here in the bottom left side. I'll be calling him just Rhett for this cast, but he is on Team Liquid, so keep that in mind. And spawning in the top right side, I feel really bad because I don't actually know this player's name, and I went to go double check and my internet is out and I can't get a hold of Rhett or anything, so I apologize to this Terran player, and I don't know his name. So if you guys can translate what his name is, it's really short, so it can't be a very long name. But anyways, this replay was sent to me by Rhett. I've been trying to get a hold of Rhett for a while because I personally think Rhett is one of the best Zergs out there, and I feel like people do not cast his games enough simply because his replays aren't out there very much. He doesn't get cast. He does not get, I think, as many fans as he should. So for those of you who don't know, he is a foreigner outside of Korea. I call anyone in StarCraft a foreigner if they're outside of Korea. That's just kind of how you talk. That's how you talk over here in the StarCraft scene. So he is a foreigner from outside of Korea. I believe he is from the Netherlands, and I have met him on several occasions. He is a super nice guy, really funny. I remember at BlizzCon 2009, which was BlizzCon before last, he actually lost to Savior in 1 versus 1 on StarCraft. And for those of you who don't know, Savior was one of the most well-known StarCraft 1 players and played Zerg. And so anyway, so he was playing at BlizzCon, and Savior thought that Rhett was playing as Zerg because Rhett always plays as Zerg, but in StarCraft 1 he played as Terran when he would play against Zerg. So he played Zerg in the other two matchups and then played Terran against Zerg, and so Savior thought he was Zerg, and then when he scouted, he realized that he was Terran, and so Savior was forced into one base play. And then it looks like actually this Terran player is going the Macarax, where you get two barracks, one on the low ground, one on the high ground, and you rush with a bunch of Zerglings, or with a bunch of Marines, and your opponent's forced to get Zerglings to defend. So we'll see if Rhett's able to defend that. He did get his hatchery before. And so anyway, so Savior scouted him and went, oh god, I'm playing against a Terran player. I thought I was playing against a Zerg player, and of course the builds are completely different, especially in StarCraft 1, completely different builds that you go. Oh, that drone! Not actually able to get up in there. That supply depot went up at the very last second to prevent that drone from getting in there. So, good play there by our mysterious mystery player, which I'm sure someone will say his name and it'll get thumbs up, so by the time this goes up, people will know. And it looks actually like a bunker trying to go down right here. Rhett does spot it and able to defend that, it looks like, with the drones. I don't think this bunker will be finished unless more SCVs are coming down. There is going to be a second SCV, and I guess I'll finish my awesome story later because the rush has begun. The SCVs are now in position to finish this bunker if they decide to. He might decide to cancel that. A second bunker is going to go down. I don't know if this bunker's in range to defend this SCV. I don't think it is. Spinecrawler has been built, but Spinecrawler's taking an extremely long time to build. 50 in the little StarCraft time is how long that takes to build, so Rhett is going to be forced to bring off some Zerglings as well. I don't think the health bars can't even tell what's going on, but a couple of Zerglings have been destroyed, and if he's not careful, he will lose a lot here, as the two Marines can just run back to the bunker, and Rhett right now is trying to kill the SCVs that are making this bunker. Is it going to be enough, though, because these Marines can just run inside that bunker? The second bunker has been completed, however, the Spinecrawler is going to finish, and once the Spinecrawler is done, it will just poke away this bunker to death. This is going to be 100 minerals lost on the bunker, and it looks like his opponent forgot to move his Marines back in time. Two of the Marines have now been slain, one of them getting poked to death. Talk about a humiliating way to die. Now, basically, the play you just saw is as standard as it gets for Terran these days in StarCraft 2. This is an extremely common rush, an extremely effective rush, simply because you stop producing units and you get your command center right away. And since your Macarax 1 is on the low ground, you have a very strong wall. As part of that wall is going to be your barracks right there. And you just put Marines right here. Almost impossible for these Zerglings to get in there and do the damage they would need for this rush not to be extremely powerful. So the expansion is now going to be on the way for our Terran player. However, Rhett already does have his own expansion because he did get that early. And so if we do look at the units tab here, 16 drones to 19 SCVs. So not too bad of a spot for Rhett to be in. Of course, he does have to pull those drones off. It looks like these Marines are actually going to get surrounded here. So Rhett running his Zerglings around, realizing those Marines are going to be somewhere and able to intercept that. So that is very powerful with the fact that he was able to kill that. Now, he's not going to be able to get inside the main base for a little while, which is also why this bunker is going down, because Rhett does have full map control. He can prevent the expansion from going down for quite a while. And these Zerglings, I really like what Rhett's doing here. He's forcing these Marines out of their little comfort haven inside the base and forcing them out here so that they could potentially get surrounded if he decides to make enough Zerglings. Although, you want to be careful getting out too many Zerglings in the early stages versus a Terran who is turtled like this, because even if you force the command center in the main, they're still making those SCVs, still getting the energy for those mules. So just because they're on one base does not mean they are super weak. And so anyways, to finish the story really quick, Savior scouted out Rhett, realized that he was playing against a Terran instead of a Zerg, and actually went one hatch a Lurker, which is extremely uncommon in StarCraft 1. You would almost never see that, and he was able to take Rhett by surprise because that's a build that no one ever went. And so Rhett just left the game. I saw him a couple hours later. He was completely hammered. He was like, why did Savior rush me? And ever since then, I've absolutely loved the guy. He's a great guy, although unfortunately his overlords do not love him, because 2 overlords are going to get taken out as these Marines just kind of walked right into the main, able to snipe 2 overlords, which is going to supply block him pretty heavily. And these Marines are going to go for some drones. 3 drones. It looks like 4, now 5, and possibly 6 or 7 drones going to go down. Just showing you how powerful the Marine micro can be against any raise, as those Marines definitely paying for themselves. If we do look at the units lost tab, not only is Rhett ahead in units lost, which is not a good thing. Smaller score is better, just like golf, but most of those are drones, so he's gonna have to drone up really hard. I think what he's gonna do though is just produce a bunch of drones. That's exactly what he's doing. If you're looking at the production tab here, a couple of drones just spawned, plus there are 4 more drones on the way. So he's taking a risk here. He is cutting out his attacking units to rebuild his drones that he lost. That's one good thing about Zerg, is that if you lose your workers, you can get them back extremely quickly. But of course, you're going to have 0 army to defend if your opponent is able to push out with the remainder of their forces. But right now, I don't think our Terran player is going to have enough, and he is forced to defend. So Red has taken very heavy damage in both the rush and in that attack right there, as he did let those Marines up inside the main base. And with that Marine micro, again, able to snipe that no problem. Now, we do have the Baneling Nest on the way for Red, as well as a reactor for his opponent. Reactors are very crucial, as of course it does produce units twice as fast on whatever building it is attached to. So we may potentially see a lot of Marines here, as we are getting double reactors now, and actually getting siege tanks out. They do already have that siege mode. This siege tank placed right here, of course, in a defensive position to prevent any Zerglings from actually getting in here. And it also locks down this entire entrance. Now, that's one less entrance that Rhett can run inside to get into the expansion. So here's the only other available entrance aside from this one, but you have to run all the way around the map to actually get to that backdoor expansion. So this is actually really good defense by our Terran player. If you look at the arc on the siege tank, this is absolutely where he wants to place it, because if the Zerglings try and camp behind the minerals, they're going to get blasted away. So anywhere that Zerglings try and run right now, they will get annihilated by siege tanks. One thing you'll see Zerg players get is the Zergling armor, and well, it's any ground unit armor, but it makes them extremely more effective against those siege tanks. I'm not sure if we're going to see that, especially once you have Banelings, because you don't want Banelings blowing up until they're in position. We do have the centrifugal hooks though on the way, or centrifugal, or wherever you live. I wonder if there's a word for it in different countries. So if you're in a different country and you speak a different language, what is the word that replaces centrifugal or centrifugal? And one thing I want to mention is Red is baller at creep spreading. I'm not saying that just because of this game. If you watch Red games, he is on his creep, man. He will spread it like crazy. He's slowly spreading these 3 out, doing 3 at a time. One thing you'll see a lot of Zerg players do is get a queen that their specific job is to plant creep tumors, which is what I think this queen's job is. So she went to the temp agency, and her job is to poop out creep. So that's what she's doing, and I really think that's something that all Zerg players could do. Honestly, it's 150 minerals to get full map vision, full map control. Of course, your units move faster, and you can heal with it. It's the best 150 minerals you will ever spend. And so, anyways, so the siege tanks now are slowly leapfrogging over here. That's just when you slowly siege your tanks one at a time. You don't siege them all clumped up together. And this also is forcing the Terran to scan to kill these off. And you gotta remember, these creep tumors only cost energy. And so if you can force scans, then that's great, because a mule will gather, 200-300 minerals. And so if you can force a scan, I mean, those free creep tumors automatically have paid for themselves. Of course, as a Zerg player, though, you do want that creep as much as possible, which is why these ones are kind of sneaking around the side, as he needs to make sure to keep that creep going. It's so crucial to do that. You'll see a lot of players not get out much creep, and it ends up costing them games more times than they probably realize. So anyways, the expansion on the bottom right side has been taken by Rhett now. It is getting saturated. We do have a Spire on the way, and actually some Roach is going to be spawning here. A lot of Roaches. So he's going Zergling, Roach, Baneling. And one thing you can do is use the Roaches to absorb the damage while the Banelings roll into position. So these Marines in a very dangerous spot. While the shields have just now finished, they all have magically appeared on their arms with shields. They are still extremely vulnerable to Marines. Two Banelings rather. A couple of units were intercepted here. One stray siege tank, not sure what he's doing out over here all by himself, but he did get annihilated. Now these siege tanks positioning is much better, as the Baneling splash damage is only going to hit one tank at a time should it come down to that. Although this army size looking pretty good. I'm not sure where these roaches are going. It looks like they're going to try and attack these siege tanks. Going to be doing a flank attack as well. Extremely crucial to do this. Here comes the Banelings rolling in, able to blow up every single Marine almost perfectly. Yes, there's a couple of stray Marines, but those Banelings doing the damage they need. The roaches are going to clean up house and finish the job, showing you how powerful attacking from multiple directions as a Zerg player is. That is something we can all learn from. Is if you are a Zerg player, you always got to be thinking in your head, how can I get a flank on this army? How can I prevent myself from running into a meat grinder? If Rhett would have attacked that directly, that battle would have looked a lot different. Rhett only surviving with a handful of roaches, and he would have lost those for sure if he ran into that head on. So it's very important for Zerg to actually get the good surrounds and stuff like that. So anyways, here is the army size 107 for our Terran player, so he's a little bit behind. There are no Banelings to soften up these Marines. The Marines going to be effective against the roaches since there are so many, and the siege tanks gotta of course do that splash damage that they are known for. But look at the amount of roaches over here. We got like an entire football team of roaches just chilling out, and that is extremely intimidating. Now we don't have any upgrades for our Zerg player quite yet. We do have the Mutalisk attack level 1 on the way, even going to be securing this expansion over here, although this SCV is like, I'm not going to allow you to have this expansion because I'm an SCV and I carry a drill around, and blah, 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 whatever. He'll have to kill that off and be able to get that expansion. Of course, his opponent does not have his third base yet, as losing that entire army, forcing him to potentially actually go for this high-yield expansion, which can be difficult to defend. However, of course, Terran do have that planetary fortress, which they can use to defend that. The planetary fortress, basically, it's a command center with giant guns that blow everything up and are extremely difficult to destroy. Now, it looks like this roach able to kill that SCV. He's feeling pretty cool, picking on a poor little defenseless SCV. And supply depots over here have been placed. Red is going to wisely kill this. This is a good tactic to use as a Terran player. And are these actually going to run in here? Yes, they are going to kill that supply depot as well. They have almost enough roaches here to actually one-shot those supply depots, which he has supply blocked his opponent, but that is way too many units. Was it worth killing 2 supply depots to lose that many roaches? I do not think so, but not only did he kill those supply depots, he also opened up a counter alternate attack route for the for countering into that expansion location. So while his opponent is still on 2 base, he does have a very intimidating army. We do have some Mutalisks on the way, which I have seen Rhett switch to Mutas at really bad times, but is it going to work this time? It looks like the Roach counterattack has begun as they ran into that new entrance. They had the SCVs are getting pulled off the line. One SCV is saying, screw this, man. I'm getting inside that bunker and trying to repair these, but the bunkers are going to go down. At the same time, though, there's going to be a huge attack down here. It's got to come down to if he can get the right unit composition, which he does have the Banelings, which will blow up these Marines, no problem. The siege tanks are not sieged, so here comes the attack right now. The siege tanks definitely need to be sieged. They're going to siege a little bit late here, and the Banelings have been blowing up so many Marines. One good Baneling right there, killing just about everything. The Mutalisks flying in and being able to absorb a lot of the damage there for the Banelings, while the Banelings able to destroy that army. I think, by God, Rhett has definitely won this game. He prevented his opponent from getting out an expansion. Look at this, not even enough money to upgrade to an orbital command. Rhett was able to secure this expansion long enough that it was he was able to transition into this expansion over here and able to do it, man. And I was actually kind of scared there for a while, as that Terran army can get extremely powerful. The thing about Terran is that when they're on 2 base, there'll be one point where you're like, oh, I got them on 2 base, no problem, I got this game, just out macro them, and boom. But the thing is that Terran players, they always will get one army that's extremely scary, and that's the army we just saw right there completely melt away to Rhett's awesome Banelings. But always keep that in mind with Terran players. Just because they're on 2 base, it doesn't mean they're out of the game. They are going to get that big, scary army once. And if you destroy the army, I mean, you're usually in pretty good shape, especially if you have map control. But if you macro up a little too hard, or you get the wrong units, or you get your Mutalisk at the wrong time, or you go mass stalker or something, and you kind of let the game get away from you, that big, scary army can be your demise. And Rhett wisely did not give up and continued playing and just kept his lead that he was able to slowly crawl his way back into. Of course, he did lose a lot of drones there in those early attacks. Now the scan going down here, he realizes, yep, that expansion is up and running, I'm out of here. Which the reason he scanned right here is because if he killed this expansion, then they're both on 2 base. Of course, Rhett is leagues and miles and yards ahead, but if his opponent's only on 2 base, then maybe he has a chance. The problem, though, is all these roaches already inside his base. It looks like we see Marines like exploding right when this pause is perpetually stuck. This guy is, I don't know if he's actually dead yet, but he is completely covered in acid. And so anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Sorry that I couldn't look up that red player's name because I have no internet right now. I don't know what's going on. Thankfully, Blizzard made it so you can watch replays offline, which I would shake their hands, whoever was involved with that, because watching replays offline is a godsend, and I can continue making videos even if I do not have internet. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy. I do have one more Rhett replay that I want to cast because I love Rhett, and I think he should have a lot of fans. He's a really nice guy, really great player, part of Team Liquid, and just an all-around an outstanding fellow. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. I love you all, and I will see you guys next time.